her. Hey guys, I'm back with a new video finally. This week's video is a snail video for all my snail people. So the question is, why do apple snails float? Question mark. Why do apple snails float? And there's a lot of different explanation to why your snail may be floating on top of your tank. It really just kind of depends on which of these scenarios you fit into or your snail fits into. So first, let's take a look at why they do it in the wild, because they do it for different reasons in the wild than in captivity. So yeah. In the wild, they actually float to the top of the water surface to travel faster from one place to another. So how they do that is, say they're like in a stream, and what they do is they float to the top of the water, and then the water's coming this way, you know, there's a current, they'll get caught in it and it'll transport them to the other end of the stream or body of water, and then they just go right back down under the water. But yeah, it's a very effective way to get from one end to another. Now, in captivity, there are other explanations to why they float to the top of your tank and stay there. For anybody in the fish hobby, it's usually not a very good indication when you come home and you see there's something floating in your tank. It usually means that it is dead. It doesn't really apply to apple snails. They actually do it a lot, and I guess if you don't have that many, then you don't really, well, yeah, there's a gecko in the ceiling here. That's why you hear that. He is enlightening us with his beautiful music. Yeah, when you come home and you see your snail floating, don't freak out. It's totally normal if you have the right water parameters. Now, let's talk a little bit about the water parameters and how that will indicate why your snail may be floating. So, if you have bad water quality and your snail is not happy with the water quality of your tank, what happens is they get stressed and then they will float to protest you. They're like, human, do a freaking water change. So they're basically begging you for a water change, but that's really not very likely because, like I've told you guys in the past, apple snails are very, very, very hardy animals, and I've seen them thrive in horrible, horrible water conditions and horrible situations, both in the wild and in captivity. So it's very unlikely that your snail is stressed because of your water quality, but then again, it kind of varies with the snails in particular. Believe it or not, they do have personalities, and say this snail is a lot pickier at everything than this snail. This snail here is just kind of like meh. It's like Monica Geller versus Joey Tribbiani, you know? Yeah. But that may not be the case with your snail. So another reason why they float is food. Sometimes apple snails eat the milky film at the water surface. Not everybody's tanks have that. It usually only occurs when there's not enough water agitation in the water, like if your filter outtake isn't, you know, agitating your whole tank at the top. Then what happens is, where it's not, you'll get like this film on the top. I do have that sometimes in my snail container. It's not harmful to them at all. It's totally fine for them to eat it. It's good for you because they're eating it and getting rid of it. But yeah, what they do is they'll float and like right under the film. They'll just kind of crawl under it and eat at it from the bottom up. And you can tell when that's the reason because you can see like their mouths like opening, closing, and eating. And yeah. Another reason why they may be floating is there could potentially be some air caught in their top of their shells. So as you guys know, snails have a gill and a lung, so there's always going to be a small amount of air inside, and they can actually pump air into their shells using their little tube that comes up. But sometimes there's just some air trapped under their shells, and then that causes them to float without them wanting to. So what you can do is you can take your snail and right there flip him, and if you see the bubbles coming out, then let him go, and if it goes right back down and acts totally fine and normal, then maybe that was the problem. But yeah, guys, like you shouldn't really make a big deal out of them floating. They do it all the time, and it doesn't really mean that they're dead. From experience, I can tell you guys that none of my snails that have died have I ever found one floating. Like, never. Any dead snail that I come across, I usually find in the bottom of my tank with the body hanging out. And yeah, I've never had a dead snail float. I've never had it happen. It may happen. Yeah. And the last reason that I came up with why they do it is they like it. That simple. Believe it or not, apple snails actually do entertain themselves. They do all sorts of funny, silly things to entertain themselves. And the likely explanation is they like to play in your filter outtake and ride the surface, and they have fun and it feels good. And they treat the tank like a water ride, kind of like surfing the waves. And yeah, I'd like to think that's what my snails do. There's no real way to be sure, but here's a video of what my snails do when they float to the top of the tank. I lifted him up, and it was very responsive. His body went inside of the shell right away. It's not sick, it's not weak, it's not nothing. It's totally healthy. As soon as I let him back in the water, it went right back to writing the filter outtake. And yeah, most of the times it's what your snail is doing. If not, then you can analyze the other situations, but hopefully your snail just really wants to have fun writing the filter outtake. So yeah, I hope I answered you guys this question on why apple snails flute, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you guys go watch your apple snails have fun in the filter outtake. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to like my Facebook page. I will have it linked down in the description. I'll see you guys next time, and have a good day or a good night, and I love you guys, and bye. Today's video is a little different from the average pet videos that I make. I'm going to be embarrassing myself for you guys, completing some minute to win it challenges. Enjoy me making a fool of myself. Okay, so in this challenge, I have to take some beans and I have to bounce them off the table into the bowl.